We have something really special today, and I'm sorry if some of you couldn't make it, but we're going to record it and have it available on my website. My website is essentiallysusie.com, and all our recordings are up there. And but we have Angela Villa here today. She's a diamond, and I was thinking about even way back when we did Periscope. Remember that? That's when I met her, and was just always inspired by the things that she was sharing. And so she has a very significant weight loss story and journey, and I wanted to be able to share that with all of you. So I invited her to speak with us today. So Angela, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yes, yeah, sure. I actually will introduce and share in my presentation. So are we good to just
Yeah.
start? Do I
Mhm.
have control to share my screen? Yes, I think I do. All right, let me first pull up the correct screen here. It was up, now it's not. I love when that happens. All right, hello. Here we go, right there. Technology has never been my friend, so just bear with me. I always pretend it is, and then on the side, Eddie's kind of back there helping me out, my husband. All right, so my name's Angela, and I've known Susie for quite some time. You're all, those of you who are watching, whether right now or on the replay, you are all a part of my doTERRA organization. So I said yes to learning about essential oils 10 years ago in June, and I have been loving it ever since. And it's been a very dramatic, dramatic, for me, it's just been a very dramatic journey, really a beautifully dramatic journey, and one that I'm super proud of, and one that I want to share with you. Hopefully I don't screw up with these slides, but so today what I want to talk about is I like to make sure everybody knows what's going to happen so that they know what to expect and how long it's going to take. And it should be, usually 30 to maybe 40 minutes at max. I want to share some statistics about weight and fat and some myths around what we know. I'm going to share my story. I'm going to talk about the emotional stuff because it's missing in the weight loss conversation. I'm going to talk a little teeny bit about food because you'll all be kind of shocked that food really has nothing to, well, no, it has a little to do, but not as much as we put emphasis on. I'm definitely going to talk about oils and products, and then I have room for questions if there are any. Okay, so first let's start with a couple statistics because these kind of blew my mind. And what's crazy is every couple months that I do this presentation, I have to go and change the statistics because they increase every single time without fail. So statistics about obesity in the United States. I know it's worldwide, but I usually tend to talk about the United States more because that's where I'm at. About 18.5% of children ages 2 to 18 are considered obese in the United States. And just a year ago, that statistic was actually 16.7%. Adults on average, 1 out of every 3 is in the obese category. And that's about 36% of our population is not just carrying extra weight, but is in the obesity category. Okay. And then as we look to the future, by 2030, an estimated 20% of the world's entire population will hit that same category. Now, there's a reason that I share those things, and I'll get into them more, but here's why that category of obesity can be very dangerous. Okay. Number one, you have things that like chronic pains and depression, and this feeds into our drug abuse. So the number 1 and 2 most prescribed drugs in the United States of America are when they bounce back and forth every year, it's different. Number 1, chronic pain. The last I did the search, it was chronic pain. And number two, so chronic pain would be your opiates, right? And number two, depression, so your antidepressants. So I want you to just think about that, okay? And they're constantly bouncing back and forth. The longer you suffer with chronic type pain, the harder it is for you emotionally, okay? That's a big deal. And there are some cancers that are very, very typical when it comes to those who are sitting in that obesity category. And there's a really serious issue with high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease, hypertension, and then type 2 diabetes has become an epidemic in the US, and not just amongst adults, but childhood type 2 diabetes is on the rise, and it's now, quote unquote, an epidemic. Okay. So let me talk about my story. So when I first started doTERRA, I was someone who battled an extreme weight issue. I have struggled with my weight since I can remember. I think it was since I was 8 or 9 years old, maybe younger, but I really can't remember that far back. But I had some trauma happen in my life. And what I know now about the emotional side of weight is that if you have trauma, if you have unhealed trauma, you will most likely experience weight gain that you can't understand or control. And I'll talk about that today. So I had my sister drown and passed away when I was a little girl, and I never got past that trauma in my timeline. It is something that I just kind of buried deep down inside. And one of the things I did to feel comfort was that I turned to food. I learned that you didn't have to feel pain or sadness or heartache if you just stuffed it down with food, because that food would fill that empty void for a little bit of time and push the emotion down. And then I knew that once those emotions started to surface again, I could easily just smash them back down again with food, and it would fill that void. So I battled with this for years. It wasn't until about 5 years ago that I started to understand what was going on with me. And I made some changes. I had already been doing some incredible things with doTERRA, because like I said, I've been with doTERRA for 10 years. And I was working on the physical stuff, right? We all know that On Guard is great for protecting our immune systems and supporting our immune systems. And we know that lemon is a wonderful natural detox in our water. And we know that DDR prime is phenomenal for protecting our cellular health, right? But nobody really taught me about the emotional side of the oils until I went to convention one year and heard from Laura Jacobs. Susie, do you remember that, when she spoke about Carol Truman's book, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die? And that's what really, I had this like awakening moment. So let me explain this, because a lot of people, this is a society that wants a quick fix. And it's the reason why we have an epidemic of obesity. So if you were to Google diet books, you would, when I first started this presentation, it was 56,000. We're now up past 60,000 different types of diet books. So we don't have a lack of education, a lack of resources. What we do is we have a lack of understanding. So let me explain, because I dieted myself to 345 pounds. Okay. But let me explain fat to you. Okay. We know fat, physical, but when people often spend years and years fighting fat and are still overweight. They blame all their problems on being overweight. The excess weight is only an outer effect of a deep inner problem. It is always a fear. It is always fear and a need for protection. When we feel frightened, this is key right here. You can write this part down if you want. When we feel frightened or insecure or not good enough, many of us will put on extra weight for protection. All diets I have ever been on come from a space of, I'm not good enough, so I need to lose weight. Am I right? Yeah, I am right. I know I'm right, because every single person who ever says, I need to go on a diet. No, you do not. And I'll explain that. So this comes from Louise Hay. I do a lot of Louise Hay work. I'm actually a certified Louise Hay coach because I just loved her so much. So I went and I did that. And so her books are incredible, and I'll suggest some if I remember. All right, but let's talk about the physical stuff. We know the physical stuff. So here's some cool things about fat. Fat is not an enemy. Fat is not bad. Okay, you need fat. Okay, why do we need fat? It stores fuel. When our muscle cells get full, fat will store fuel until we're ready to burn it, right? It stores toxins. The first thing that happens in the body when something is taken into the body and the body can't recognize it because it's toxic, it goes into this life-saving mode where it surrounds a toxin with fat and pushes it away from our vital organs, protecting us, okay? So yes, the products you bring into your home do cause weight issues, all right? It absorbs vitamins. Without fat, we cannot absorb our vitamins. We can't. In fact, when I started losing weight very quickly, I had to really regulate some things in my diet so that I could actually absorb my vitamins, because my body was so used to a certain amount of fat, and then I had to go and re-regulate that, okay? And then insulation. Like, without fat, you're freezing all the time, right? Without fat, we fall on our butt, it's gonna hurt. Fat is a good thing. And I teach that to people in my weight loss program, is to embrace it, because it is a good thing until we have too much. Have you ever heard of too much of a good thing? That is real. There is such a thing as too much of a good thing. And we want to find that happy medium. Okay. So when I teach people the weight loss plan that I did, or when I started looking at myself and helping myself, I decided to stop the diet mentality, because the diet mentality never worked. In fact, I dieted myself to 345 pounds. I dieted myself to depression. I dieted myself to, suicidal thoughts. I dieted myself to so many different physical and emotional, mental problems. So about 5 years ago, I kind of had this awakening where I read something about a certain way of eating. It's called the Trim Healthy Mama Plan. I'm a Trim Healthy Mama coach, but I'm not going to talk about that today. What it really is a way. When I read about what the plan was, it said, this is a way to eat so that your body will heal. And it really triggered something in my brain. Like when I listened to Laura Jacobs at convention, it triggered something in my brain. Like I had this aha moment. And then when I read these words, eating this way helps our body to heal, I had another like aha moment. When we look at healing, it's why we get into doTERRA. We want to do the right things for our body. We want to bring products in that are constantly healing. And even when we're just washing our hair, we're healing the body. Even when we're putting lotion on our skin, we're healing the body. When we drink water, we're healing the body. You get to make a choice every single day what you do to heal or kill your body. It's up to you. And so when I thought, I'm not going to diet anymore, I'm going to do everything in a way that heals my body, because my body has never let me down. I've just been so angry with it for so long. And so I decided to eat in a way that was very balancing to my blood sugar and improve my metabolism. Because improving your metabolism, all that is healing your metabolism. Like when people say, my metabolism is shot, my metabolism is broken, you're going into that space of, my body doesn't work, I'm not enough. And what happens when we're in that space? Fat, right? My digestive system doesn't work. My digestive system is not enough. Fat. I'm always in pain. My body's not enough. Do you see this? Are you now just still baffled about why we have an obesity epidemic? No, I'm not baffled anymore. I'm always in a bad mood. I'm not enough, right? So everything I wanted to start focusing on was about, my body's already amazing. What can I do now to help it heal? And that's what I did. And then I took all the chaos out. I stopped coming from a place of not enough. I need to lose weight. I need to get skinny. I need to eat healthy. This causes chaos in the brain. And when we have chaos in our thoughts, we go back to that space of I'm not enough. And what happens when we do that? Fat. Okay. And I refuse to ever deprive myself. I won't do it. I deprived myself for my entire life and deprived myself to 345 pounds. I won't do it. I eat food. I eat food to feel satisfied. I eat food to have energy, and I eat food to heal my body. This is where I come from, and this is key. Okay. When we start looking at food as simply fuel to heal our body, we start to change the emotions behind food and the feelings and thoughts behind food. See, food was chaos to me. I didn't understand it. Everything I put in my mouth hurt me. And I had to get rid of that overall thinking. And so instead of saying food, this is what worked for me, you can give it a try, I changed a lot of my words. Because how many on here are so confused with the foods? Like, this will help you lose weight and that will help you lose weight. You can't eat bread and you can't eat this. And you're just so freaking confused. That was me. So when I took food out of the equation and I looked at it as simply fuel, I'm not mad at fuel. Well, right now I am, but that's a whole different story with our gas prices, but whatever, it's fine. So now when I refer to it as fuel, it doesn't cause this emotional chaos. And I can go, okay, do I want to fuel myself in a way that brings me energy, that keeps me satisfied, that makes me feel good? Or do I want to fuel myself in a way that makes me a little tired, a bit sluggish? You know, it tastes sweet, but I don't feel good after. Then I can make a decision. Again, not depriving. I always have the option, but I look at it as how do I want to fuel myself today? Does that make sense? Okay. So the biggest thing I ever learned, and this is just a little bit I'll go into about food. If you're curious about food, you're going to want to follow me on social media, or we can talk about my weight loss program, but that's not this. So I want to talk about protein, because what I learned is your body, its number one staple and need is protein. Protein. Whether it's lean or fat, your body needs protein. Okay, so when doTERRA launched their protein powders, I was so thrilled because they made the ingredients even cleaner. And there's 21 grams of protein in one smoothie. So the body lacks a lot of protein. You're not getting enough of it in your diet. And so I encourage people every single time they sit down and eat, they need to go, okay, is there protein on my plate? And then we build a plate from there. But I wanted to share that because I am going to be talking about the protein powders, just a little bit, not a ton. So every time you make yourself, this is an old slide, I apologize, but every time you make yourself a smoothie, even if it's just in the morning, you are healing your body. You're not drinking a shake because it's low in calories. I don't count calories. I stopped doing that BS a long time ago. Again, we look to heal the body. I know that when I'm feeling low in energy and I feel like, I just need a good solid pick-me-up, I look to the doTERRA protein smoothie. I know I'm getting 21 grams. And then if I want, I can pop in some fiber, pop in some greens. And then I'm really doing an overhaul healing session with my body. And so what I do on the emotional level is I will take an oil like magnolia, neroli, rose, and I'll roll it on and I'll just talk to myself as I drink that smoothie. Like, I'm so thankful I have this smoothie right here, right now to heal this body. Again, a lot of mind overhaul happens when I teach people how to eat. Okay. All right. So I hope everybody here knows about the nutrition line or has tried it. It's incredible. I'm obsessed with the fibers, FYI. So good. But the ingredients are much, much cleaner than the last line they had. doTERRA is not a weight loss company. They are a health and wellness healing company. Okay. That is what this line is all about. You can have the vegan, you can still eat vegan and get enough protein. That is a myth. Okay. People are still talking crazy when they say you can't get enough protein. You absolutely can. But my favorites are these two, the vanilla protein and the chocolate protein. I know that when I make a fruit and green smoothie, adding in the doTERRA greens, adding in the fiber, I'm getting of my fruits, veggies, fibers, and proteins all in one. And it's incredible. Okay. And I like to have fun with the chocolate one as well. But definitely, if you don't have these, find out, talk to your person that, you know, brought you into doTERRA and say, how can I add these? Or how do I add these to my LRP? Because you want to have this in your healing tool belt. Okay. Protein helps the body heal. Protein helps with fat loss. Protein helps heal the metabolism. Protein helps heal. Okay. So do fibers and greens. All right. I also wanted to talk about the lifelong vitality. Now, let me go back to the emotional stuff. Make sure my time is okay. So when you work through the emotional things, when you start changing words like healing instead of losing weight, when you start changing words like fuel instead of food, when you start using words like protection instead of fat, right? You start to change how your brain is working. So I'm a huge Mel Robbins fan, and she taught me all about this reticular activating system. It's a part of our brain that filters our world, and it filters our world based on what we already believe. So if we already believe that I'm fat and nobody loves me, our reticular activating system goes to work and filters the world to show you that you're fat and nobody loves you. So it's always proving you right. Does that make sense? Yeah, it is always proving you right. So in order to start to change that reticular activating system, I started to change the thoughts I was having, the way I was talking to myself. This is a huge key that nobody touches on when it comes to dieting and weight loss. They only focus on food, but here's the kicker. If you don't believe that you're good enough, worthy, already beautiful, already wonderful, worthy of healing, worthy of love, do you really think you're going to spend $78 on bottles of supplements? No, you're not, because you're not worth it. Right? This is what I want people to do. Do you really think that if you don't like who you are right now, that you're going to stay on an eating plan? No, because you don't like yourself. And so you're already set up for sabotaging. Does that make sense? Nobody will ever stick to a program. And it's not because willpower is a muscle. Once it fatigues, and you got to rely on how much you love yourself, how much you appreciate yourself, how much your body is already working, how much it's already done for you, how much you've already healed. And then that takes over and it trumps all willpower. When I started loving this person, thanking this body, giving so much gratitude for the life I've lived already, I wanted to feed it healingly. I wanted the best supplements. I wanted the best forms of protein. I wanted to move it every day because I appreciated it for what it already was. Does this make sense? No one will ever willpower their way to weight loss. It doesn't work. And if they do, guess what we have in our world? Yo-yo dieting. How many people do you know who've lost 50, 60, 70 pounds, gained it all right back? It's because they didn't like who they are when they started. What makes you think you're going to like who you are when you maybe hopefully get to a size you one day could possibly sometime love? Get it? So when I put these vitamins into my body, I am telling my body, even when I was 300 pounds, I am telling my body, you are awesome and worth it. You are incredible and worth it. And that did some unbelievable things for all the emotional stuff within me, all the mental mindset stuff. Like I won't touch garbage because I have trained my body to only appreciate and know it's worthy of the greatest things. Did I have to move my budget around? Little bits. But when you're doing doTERRA and you're showing up to the education calls, you're learning that you're taking your budget and moving it from the garbage at Target over to the self-love, self-care products of doTERRA. Got it? So every time I put a lifelong vitality supplement in my mouth, you better believe I am in full gratitude. Now, I wanted to share the emotional oils because these were like the biggest key for me, especially Forgive and Console very early on, because a lot of us were so used to hating the skin that we're in that we don't even want to look at ourselves in the mirror. We don't even want to talk about healing because we don't feel like we're worthy of that. So what I do with people, Forgive is an incredible oil. I was blown away with what I learned about Forgive. And in fact, when people join my weight loss program, they have to have the lifelong vitality and they have to have Forgive. I won't let them start without it. Forgive is very off-putting to most women because they hold grudges like nobody's business. So they hate the smell of that oil until they start to release. Then it becomes this like craving. Okay. So what I do with women is I have them first thing in the morning, they put on the Forgive oil, they diffuse the Forgive oil, they put it in their hands, they roll it over their heart, and they start releasing the stuff that they were stuffing down. And Forgive helps to open up, right? You all know that the limbic system, right? So the olfactory nerve, limbic, trauma zone, amygdala, right? Scent is the only thing that can actually unlock that amygdala in the brain, and that's where you store all the trauma. So you can't muscle that thing open. You have to use scent. So Forgive essential oil helps you tap into that, open it up, and then what happens is why people hate Forgive, because it goes right to that amygdala and opens it right up, and you're like, oh God, now I have to face all my crap. Okay. And so you don't know what to do with it. And so you just put the oil away and you don't touch it again. Well, I'm going to challenge you to open that up and release one or two things at a time and start to forgive yourself and your body. And then what's wonderful is Console helps you to recover from that forgiving process. Motivate pushes you through to move forward, and Cheer and Peace keep you going for the rest of the day. It's such a wonderful combination. I wish more people talked about it, but they don't know how. They just say, diffuse this, it smells good, but it's so much more powerful than that. All right, this is one of my most favorite blends that I have people make because your body is already incredible. It knows how to burn fuel. It knows how to move. It knows what to do. You just have to change that, reticular activating system to see your body in the light that it wants to be seen. I'm going to share something with you, how I know our bodies are capable of miraculous things. My husband, he comes from a Spanish family. We found out through our I forget what it's called, but 23andMe, that he is not Mexican, he is Spanish. So anyway, his Spanish line, so Latino men, if you didn't know, they have a higher mortality rate than Caucasian women, which is me. Well, the men in my husband's side of the family, they die in around their 50s, 55, from heart disease, from heart issues, from high blood pressure things. So he lost his grandfather at 50, it was like 57. He lost his father at about 55, and he lost his brother at 50. Okay. All with heart-related issues. So my husband had high blood pressure, and every day this is how powerful the mind is. Every day that he took his blood pressure medication, he reminded himself that he had high blood pressure. Every time we take that little pill, we remind ourselves what we have. Okay. And every time you remind yourself what you have, your body goes, okay, you're right. I do. Yep. Yep. You're right. I am overweight. You're right. I am this. I am that. I am depressed. I am whatever it is. So what we started doing was we started changing it up. We worked alongside our doctor. We told him we don't want to be on this anymore. And we started using the Lifelong Vitality. We doubled the dose for him. He's 6'7". He's a big guy. And we used lemongrass marjoram, and we reduced his stress dramatically. And over time, his blood pressure started to regulate itself. He stopped reminding it every day that he had high blood pressure and started talking about how he was healing, how his body worked, how his heart was beautiful, how his heart was normal, all these things. And with the lemongrass, marjoram, lifelong vitality, low stress, today, I don't know how many years later, probably 8 years later, my husband goes to the doctor office every time with a 120/80, every single time, every single time. And his heart jumps for joy. The new doctors don't have a clue. They don't have a clue of his past. They only know, oh, he's got great blood pressure. That's how incredible the body is. As long as we're telling it, showing it, fueling it, feeding it in a way that tells it this, and it will respond, but only 100% of the time. This is a fun blend that I like to teach people. Yarrow Palm is very intense for those of us holding on to excess weight. It can be a pretty intense essential oil because it teaches you to release what is trapped in a different way than Forgive does. But if you're ready to get releasing some goodness, Yarrow Palm, turmeric, frankincense, pink pepper, and black pepper in a capsule is a wonderful way to help the body start to heal in that world of weight loss. Meaning the body will start, releasing fat cells, releasing toxins from the body, just like lemon, asking those fat cells that are surrounding toxins to just release and let go and move it out of the body. I hate the name of it, but that's what people love calling it, but whatever. Terrazyme, every single home needs Terrazyme. A lot of people think it's all about probiotics. If you are in need of probiotics every single day, there's something really wrong with your gut. I like to look at probiotics more of a cleanse, like 1 week out of the month. But Terrazyme, on the other hand, is my unsung hero. This Terrazyme, think of Terrazyme like Pac-Man. It goes in when you eat it with meals. It'll go in and help munch down that food so that you can digest it and move it through the body easier. Okay. If you take Terrazyme between meals, it actually will go in and start breaking down the rancid and rotting food that's sitting in our gut, calling out to candida, calling out to all these things that then stress out the body and cause weight gain. So if you feel that you're bloated or burpy a lot of the time after you eat, you're going to want to start taking Terrazyme between meals. If you wake up bloated, you shouldn't be waking up bloated. There's a problem there because you've had more than 8 hours to digest a fuel source, okay? But if you are waking up bloated, I highly recommend 2 to 4 Terrazyme right before bed. And that will take care of that right away. But I love Terrazyme because anybody who starts to feel that bloaty, weight gain, or like I'm stalled, Terrazyme kicks you right over it, especially when you take it between meals and at night before bed. Okay. All right. So how I teach people any type of weight loss is we release the need to lose weight. And I say, we're going to use doTERRA. Why are we going to use doTERRA? Because you're worth it. The products are incredible. Lifelong Vitality is one of the only forms of vitamins on the market today that your body actually recognizes and absorbs. Everything else on the market, Costco, all those places, it literally will pee right out because it can't recognize it. So you use doTERRA because we want to stop taking in so much toxic crap. And we want to start putting goodness into the body. You eat food in a fueling, healing way. You look at food as fuel, and are you gassing up this body to run optimally, live vitality, or are you gassing up this body to feel like garbage? That's what you're doing, okay? And then your emotions are the key. If you're not working with the emotional side of the oils, with dealing with the way you think about things, dealing with the thoughts you're having, dealing with that reticular activating system, then you will always go back to where you started. You have to turn on the emotional healing in order to see the physical work move all the way through and have lasting results. I have kept this weight off for the last 3 years. I have mastered food. I have become this machine when it comes to healing, that I know right away I've got to release something because it's causing a pain, an ailment, a stuckness in my body. And I know that I've got to work through it emotionally. Some books that I recommend: Emotions and Essential Oils. Oh, I don't have it here. So Emotions and Essential Oils, You Can Heal Your Body by Louise Hay. I also love, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die by Carol Truman. Those are incredible books to have in your library that are very helpful. And then I share a lot of extra stuff for free, right? If I have people from doTERRA who've all followed my journey for years and they constantly have questions, and I just share it on my social media. Don't go to my Facebook. It's not a fun place, but my Instagram is pretty cool and you'll have fun there. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to start. I'm happy to answer any. If not, that's cool too.